All set? All right, we'll call the morning meeting to order at 5:30, 5:30 somewhere. We'll stand for the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank everybody for coming out of the air-conditioned houses or cars or bars or whatever you came from tonight. I guess we could start with the approval of the minutes from April 25th, 2013.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from April 25th, 2013.
Motion been made to accept.
Second.
Do I hear a second? Second from John. Any discussion? Chris, you said you were here or
I
weren't here?
think I was there. I'm not listed as there or not there, so.
Do you recall? No, it's okay. Do you recall the discussion of the, of spending the $20,700 for them to move forward and use the state's?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so that was that meeting.
All right, yeah, so I was there.
So
'Cause
you
we-
were there?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so one correction. Chris Stewart was here.
Because I think that's the meeting I asked to stay on, even though I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna be on
Yeah.
the select board.
Right.
Oh, at large, yeah, okay, all right. All right, normally, all boards and committees, as far as I know, go for the motion of reorganizing after an election. This is the first time we've met since the election, so.
Do we want
We
to
didn't-
vote the minutes?
We didn't vote.
Oh, sorry. All in favor of accepting the minutes, sorry.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, myself, okay. Good job on the minutes, Teresa. Couldn't even discuss them, they were perfect. Okay, next line of business, reorganization. Like I just said, common practice for committees and boards after election. This is the first time we've met. Would anybody care to, we have chair, co-chair, and clerk, correct? 3 positions? Julie?
I will make a motion to nominate Kurt Machete as chair.
Second. We're this far along, we should keep it the way it is.
Okay, motion made and seconded to keep myself as chair. I accept the nomination. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All abstain. How's that? Okay, thank you. We have, who's co-chair?
I have no idea.
I think it was Hank. We did
It
it.
is
yes,
Hank.
We did it.
We did an abstention last time. We have to do it again?
I'll make the motion.
Do we motion Hank for vice chair?
Oh, Hank's vice chair?
We did an
Well, that's-
abstention last time too. Did we do it again?
Yeah, we did do it last time. That might as well do it again.
Okay.
You'll learn not to show up.
Okay, motion's made to, for Hank Mason to be co-chair.
Second.
Seconded. The price he pays for missing again. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Clerk. Teresa had expressed, how do you want to say this? Teresa will do it if she has to, but is there anybody else that has the
Someone
time?
wants to
Or
do it?
somebody else can do the clerk? Is there anybody,
I would volunteer to do the clerk because I think a lot of it's going to be MSBA work now with asking for information from the school side. So with the secretary, it might make it easier. If you could be a backup minute taker though, if I'm at a meeting.
Oh, okay.
but the clerk really, the thing is, we can't mix the two. We can't mix the school committee with the build committee. So it's really, if MSBA asks the build committee for something, fine, but they're not really, if they ask something
I
through the
wasn't
school.
talking about the school committee, I was talking about I have a secretary. And
Okay.
so when MSBA asks for, I don't know, where are the drawings and the specs from, you know.
Oh, you're saying
first
you'd have
feasibility.
readily available because you'd have it in your
We have all
office
the stuff
anyways?
in my office, that's the thing.
Okay.
Whereas I don't think Teresa would have access to
No.
that information.
Okay. I understand now, okay. Okay, so is that okay? Well, so I guess we're gonna motion Ruth, I'll motion Ruth for clerk.
I'll second that too.
Any other discussion? It would, I guess, Teresa, you'll just, if you have to throw the dart at the board once in a
Yeah,
while?
if she's not here, I can take minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fair
All right.
enough.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks Ruth. Okay, moving right along. Ruth is for it. Update on project status. Okay, where do we begin? If you guys will look at the, everybody have a packet that I just handed out? If you guys want to take a minute to read through it, 5 minutes on, or everybody's done, just kind of give a nod and we'll discuss it.
Ruth, I'll do the first part, and then if you want to do from here on,
Oh, you.
I'll take the minutes of
Yeah.
this first part
Take
and
the
I'll
minutes.
email them to you.
Perfect.
And if you want to do this second
Yeah.
part, okay. All right.
Yeah, that's supposed to say three. It's really kind of what all the he did say three, I don't know if he was small. We can bring it up to, it's not building more of the layout. I know we can't actually show the pictures on for the camera, but do you think it'd be, and I didn't bring my reading glasses, so I might get up to like this. It'd be wise to read it to. Should we read it to the our home audience or?
Yeah,
Okay.
and we should be able to post it eventually to the
Okay. So we have two options here, so. What do we have?
I don't know where there's no option.
I'm just looking at that. Nope. 2.4, 3.6. Okay, those are second.
No.
Concept one, concept two. Okay, everybody read through? Okay. I'm just going to read the two, there's no sense, the assumptions, like it states right there, it's basically 80,000 square foot building, 2.5 acres on the TDC land. Just for our viewing audience, Concept 1 utilizes the western 2/3 of the cornfield. The play area is located in the rear of the building in the southerly highest end of the cornfield. The parking is compactly located in front of the building with a limited loop driveway. The soil absorption system, leach field, is located north of the parking area. Total area of development on Concept 1 is 14 acres. Area of development in cornfield is 9 acres. Engineering options, opinion, I should say, of earthwork costs about approximately $3.6 million. Concept 2, now if you look at the plan, that one was the one showing more field left over. I don't know how I lined it. I think it's the second page on your stapled copy, but maybe not.
This is
Showing more, is that
the
right?
oval loop
Okay.
versus the
Right.
irregular.
And then concept 2, alternative located the building and play areas in easterly 1/3 of the cornfield. Parking is provided west of the building. The soil absorption system, the leach field, is located north of the parking area. The loop driveway is more extensive than concept 1 as it encloses part of the parking area and soil absorption system. Area of development in the cornfield is 12 acres, and engineers' opinion of earthwork cost is $2.4 million. So as you can tell, option number 2 is about $1.2 million, just an opinion from the engineer as far as the amount of site work, extra site work that it entails. Just so the committee members know, the DCAM Department of, okay, where is it? DCAM, Department of Agriculture, who am I forgetting, Ruth? Who's the-
DCR.
DCR, Department of Agriculture, yeah. Department of Agriculture, DCR, and DCAM made this presentation to a few of us, to Ruth, Bill, myself, Jeff, and Julie on last Thursday.
Interesting.
To try to get a feel of what these are the 2 options that they're charged with kind of laying out. We told them we had a committee meeting this week. However, the consensus of the members in the room was to go with option 2. Cost, of course, is always a consideration. However, it was also a big consideration was the placement of the school and its ability to be expansion, as well as its facing south-southwest, so for like solar, right? Was it, Bill? It was a solar position, a little bit more passive light. I wish I had bigger plans for everybody to look at, but Teresa has the nicest looking one because hers is colored. We took pictures off of that. Now, this school, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, this was, from what they had said, based on the best they could do with the footprint from the Chickering School in is it Dover?
I would say the architect's input was very quick, and, you know, anything would be subject to change under the architect's tenure. But given the quick snapshot that Biancavilla from BSC was given him, because Biancavilla is really handcuffed with DCAM's limitations and the limitations we have with mitigation and everything. But that's the best they could do with the limitations they were given. An architect might do something a little bit.
And keep in mind too that this was really just to make sure this isn't the final plan, this isn't the architect's plan.
It's a demonstration.
This is a demonstration. They needed to come up with 2 options to show that we could actually make that school, the proposed school, fit on that location. So when it gets to that point, they know that this is the area within the 26-acre target area that is going to be utilized. They tried extensively researching some more of the woods area versus the agricultural field area, and due to outcrops of ledge and extreme topography, it just was economically unfeasible to do so. So out of the whole, it was 150 acres here, but out of the 26-acre target site, the field is actually the best topography to work with. DCAM, like I said, was just charged with doing this. We need to move forward ourselves for the exact placement and so on and so forth and design of the school within this area. The one thing that we do have staring us in the face is that according to DCR, they're going to investigate. I think DCR is kind of getting into kind of late in the game, so to speak, or I think there was a changing of the guard, so to speak, wasn't it? That girl was taking somebody else's place who's since retired. So they're getting up to speed. We explained to them about the land on Elliott Hill as far as being the exchange on the forestry land or non-agricultural soils land. They were going to look at it, but we told them we pretty much already, we spoke with Bob O'Connor from the executive office, and so they're going to satisfy themselves with that. But what we do have facing us as a town is we just don't have a location. Dwelly Farm, I guess, is pretty much, according to Department of Agriculture, we may be able to get some in exchange, and that was with a big question mark. There's no way they're going to get all of it in exchange. So now we start talking a monetary consideration. I mean, it's still, cards are still on the table, but now we're talking a worst case scenario monetary consideration would be $10,000 an acre is not really a penalty. They don't look at it as a penalty because they don't like taking any land out of off the map, off the agricultural map, but they look at it as in they can use that money to help other agricultural lands that they're trying to protect. So that's one thing we're going to have staring us in the face with that. Anybody else have anything as far as from the meeting? Julie, Bill, Ruth?
No.
I'm just trying to remember everything that was said.
No, I think you summarized it pretty well. I think that the two departments, the Agriculture Department and the other DCR, were very, when they heard about the June 14th deadline, they were very like, oh, we don't want to be in the way of, we don't want to get in the way of this, and we're going to try to do this in a timely manner. So I think both Barbara and the other two women understood the sensitivity to time with regard to making this land swap done.
When Department of Agricultural stated that, you know, really that they like to do a land swap, like, we did make it clear to them that the state already owns all the best agricultural land in town. And that's what I told her. Got her attention because it's true.
Yeah.
Give us some of the land back and we'll give you some in exchange, but they did let us know it's not like it all has to be done, exchanged, paid for, everything up front. It needs just to be a working document as far as where we're going through, what we're looking at, or possibly the dwelling farmers that is not off the table. Janet Hobson from North County Land Trust, is that the right name? No, Janet Morrison. Sorry, Janet Morrison, Barbara Hobson from DCR. From agriculture. Diane Morrison did state that there is land there. They think there's upwards of, could be close to 10 acres on the dwelling farm, but a lot of it has been reforested over the years. And so one of the things we threw on the table was that the option of us deforesting it again and using it. In other words, if the soils work, then it may be a joint town effort or volunteers or whatever. We're going to have to try to find out if that's a possible option to do the swap. So there's a few things still on the table. There's nothing etched in stone, but there's some options. Bill?
Just for the sake of disclosure that we're on camera again, we do have a challenge with the driveway being between 12 and 16% grade, I think. We did talk about going up 202 East, crossing some wetlands and replicating some wetlands, a couple options there. But it sounded overall that it was a situation that could be doable.
No, actually the topography right now is upwards of 12 to 16% grade.
Correct.
The loops that he's showing in here right now, the reason why they're so long is because they're proposed at maximum 8%. This is actually reflecting what we would have to do to stay within the 8% grade, which happens to be a maximum grade we allow under the subdivision controls and our own bylaws within town anyways.
Thanks for clarifying.
I believe the other concern was with NEPA and the sight lines for Mass Highway for the driveway.
NEPA and what? I'm sorry, the air conditioners.
NEPA,
And what was the second part?
sight lines for
Sight
Mass
lines,
DOT.
Yeah, because they really just kind of laid it in. They came in from the same entrance that's there now. It seems to me if they could go, if you look on the map, you see that little wetland that's to the left of the driveway if you're standing on 202 looking at the proposed site. It seems to me if we could go to the north side of that, basically the other side of that small wetland, it would drastically reduce the, I should say, it would enhance the sight line coming out of there, because it's that first corner, the south side of that driveway where it has that road, and maybe we wouldn't have to worry about trying to straighten out the new pavement down there, so to speak. I mean, you know we're going to have turning lanes. I mean, if it came down to it, you definitely have to have a deceleration lane coming into a school like that.
Would that help with Mass DOT as well, in that it gets us away from the intersection at two-way?
Right, but I'm saying, these are some of the things that are gonna have to be ironed out when the final pen hits the paper. But it's definitely doable, because we have enough distance to make up the gradient. Ruth, do you care to let the board know about your meeting with tomorrow? Is it tomorrow?
I think everybody on the board, I don't know if you,
Just that we're being filmed tonight, so I just kind of, for the TV audience, how's that?
oh, or for the TV audience. MSBA contacted me via email on the 27th of July, like the day before I went on vacation, saying that they had heard that we had gotten the land secured, and therefore they would like to have a meeting with us, and asked me if I would send 3 dates that might work. So I sent them 3 dates and went on vacation. When I got back, they had picked the July 16th date at 1 o'clock.
Which is tomorrow.
Which is tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And I asked if there were anything that I could bring or that we needed to bring or what it was about. It's kind of a restart meeting of the project, and that there was nothing that we needed to bring. And Carolyn said she'd get me an agenda out today, but I didn't get anything on my email for an agenda. So I think it's just a conversation about the committee's intent of moving forward and our plans around moving forward is my sense of what they're going to ask. They may ask some enrollment projections, which I think I'll be able to bring for them. And they're probably going to want, if you know, I don't know if you have these saved diagrams, Kirk, or
What's that?
if these diagrams probably would be good to bring.
Yeah,
show
it wouldn't hurt
them.
to bring them, even though they're preliminary, at least they'll show some type of layout anyways.
Well, it looks like Jeff received this from David Opeka, so we can get copies of that.
Right, he has it electronically, so.
Right. So I know, Julie, you're planning on attending, correct?
Yes.
And Jeff? John, are you were
Yes.
planning on, and Bill, I think,
Yes.
and I think that's, I think that was all that was gonna go. It's hard to know who needs to go based on the fact that we don't really have information from them and something new.
And this way here, this will get, it's almost like a regrouping, really, 'cause it's been so long and everything's been hanging for so long, they're gonna, should be able to see where they stand and where the town stands and see if we can.
Well, I think, yeah, they're probably gonna, because this follows, we're following what that letter was precisely, so we made the June 13th deadline to get the land, which, that was the first benchmark. Now, the next benchmark
Don't ask me how we did that.
because of your hard work, that's how we did that. I think you've been on every piece of land in Templeton.
Oh my God.
So now that that's done, though, the next benchmark is June 14th, and they're looking for us to have the shovel in the ground by June 14th. Am I remembering
June
that right?
14th of, June of 2014?
Of 2014. Isn't that what that letter said?
I do not have, Teresa, do you happen to have that in your bag of tricks over there by any chance? We refer to as the Bible we got.
Yeah.
That's probably been hanging about 8 months ago.
That's it, right?
Well,
We
Carrie-
should have made Carrie secretary.
Carrie's back, Carrie's back to
You
heal
got
it too, so.
So it's something about June.
Should this extension go beyond June 30th, 2014?
Okay.
That's what the,
Education, the modules 3 and 4.
Do you want to read it louder so that?
Sure. So it says, once the legislation takes effect and upon the district's successful appropriation, the MSBA and the district will execute an amendment to the feasibility study agreement to allow for the completion of the feasibility study and schematic design phases. In no event shall this extension go beyond June 30th, 2014. A, the schedule provided by the district and included within the amendment to the feasibility study agreement must take into consideration not only the completion of the items required for a project scope and budget submittal in accordance with Module 3 and Module 4, but also the time required to meet the conditions stated below in regard to the site control. B, the district acknowledges and agrees that all appropriate approvals related to the acquisition of land must be in place and full ownership, control, and use of the proposed site must be secured prior to the execution of a project funding agreement with MSBA.
okay, so they're saying the feasibility, excuse me, feasibility needs to be complete by 2014 is what they're saying, by June
Right.
2014?
by June.
June, sorry.
That's modular 3 and 4 though.
Explain to me what that is, the modular again?
The feasibility is the first part that we've already been through mostly, which
Right,
is.
which we're almost there now, right?
Right, this would be the third, they eliminated Baldwinville and they eliminated TC's viable sites. But we had to find a third that would be viable. So now this would be the end of the feasibility, which saying, we looked at these sites, we eliminated 2, we think this is our best option, is a new build on this land. But the modulars 3 and 4 that we're referring to, they're really referring to schematic design.
Okay,
So that would be that all the work that needs to get done so that we could put a vote in front of the townspeople by June of 2014.
Right, and it
Okay.
says the MSBA and the district agree that if the timeframes outlined above are not met, then the statement of interest for the Templeton Center Elementary School will be removed from the MSBA capital pipeline, and the district will need to refile a statement of interest with the MSBA.
okay.
Do we know,
It's pretty clear.
and maybe we should find this out tomorrow, but I think that the reimbursement rates that they're giving to towns that are in the pipeline now are smaller. Do we know that at all for a fact, Bill?
Yeah, I've heard they are.
Yeah, I've heard it, but I don't know if it's a fact. We might want to try to find that out.
We should be able to find out from the source themselves tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow, if for some reason we didn't meet the deadline and we went, number one, it'd be horrible to get at the end of the line, but also I think the reimbursement rate would be less. I'm not positive though.
So actually, really as far as moving any further forward right now, I mean, the land is pretty much ours for the taking, just matter if we're just doing the bureaucracy part now of, but what I think may create the biggest time deficiency when it comes to meeting that schedule is that you're not going to be able to, we as a town aren't going to be able to get a final plan with a number, with bid docs, and all our MEPR and DEP and EPA paperwork and site assignments in a year's time. And sometimes a MEPR will take up to 2 years.
For the land itself?
The MEPR is the Massachusetts Environmental Protection Agency, and they go through everything from the traffic to the usage to what's there now to what's going to be there, the impact on the environment. It's a lengthy process, and they will not embark on that until we have a final plan. And so that's something you might want to mention to MSBA tomorrow.
But why would MSBA set this deadline, give us this time frame, knowing that we're following these steps? And say you have to meet it by the state, why would they
You
set us
might
up for
want to
failure?
find out from them, or remind them that there's some state protocol that needs to be followed. And we had actually discussed that Thursday when we met with DCAM, was that if we follow the state's protocol, you'd be lucky if you were ready in 2 years.
Well, I might suggest that the goal of the meeting tomorrow is
A
to,
reintroduction and kind of where do we go?
yeah, but the real game that will need to be played there is the specificity of what is the control we exercise over the land. MEPA is definitely one of the things that is going to be an imminent agreement. It may hold us up from sticking a shovel in the ground, but what we want to agree on are conditions that affect feasibility. And we can talk about that tomorrow. I think they know about MEPA, they know how long that's going to take, and they know that may only affect when we can put a shovel in the ground, and may not even affect that if the paperwork and there are no obstructions in front of it. We know how long it takes the state to sign off on these things, and we know how frightening it is to hear the four-letter acronym MEPA. But there are things tomorrow we can agree on, and I think we just focus on feasibility, and I think
But
come to some
also too, like the town has done in the past, we did a feasibility 10 years ago, spent $500,000, and here we are doing it again. So I'd find out, one of the main questions, or should be tomorrow, is that how far do we follow through with feasibility when it, where does it get to the point where, oh, that's an old one, you need to do a redo? Because of the permitting, and because of the, don't forget, this has to go in front of the voters. And if the voters say no, I mean, right now, this committee has spent, I think maybe under $22,000 in 1 year's time, almost to the day, and we got the land. I think that's pretty good on the new regime here. So I'd like to finish the feasibility study and still have the 210,000 and some change that's still in the account. I don't want to give it to an architect to find out that the townspeople, and we need to find this information out. Because at 210,000, I think it's 210 or $220,000, that's $209,000 in that account. We need to make sure if we're spending it, whatever information comes out of that, spending that money, can be reused in the future.
No, you're out of the pipeline. You mess up tomorrow's meeting in any way, shape, and form, that money's gone. And you've spent all that money up to that time.
What do you mean the money's gone?
You're not gonna see that money again. When you go back on an SOI, you're applying for a brand new feasibility study, applying for all new monies.
Right, but what I'm
Everything
saying
starts
is that when you guys go, and I wish I could go, but I can't, because I gotta go to represent the town and the 8,000 people that live in it. Not to sound heartless here, but I care about the school, but I care about the town. And the town's building the school's not building the town, all right? And so I'm not gonna sit here and say, what is this gonna spend it and keep our fingers crossed? Somebody needs to put their cards on the table with MSBA tomorrow and say, listen, there's a high probability that this and this and this may happen, this may stall us. How far are you gonna work with us? Because unless they give us that, I'm not voting to spend any more of that money unless we can know we can get some distance out of it.
Kirk, nothing else short of that will happen tomorrow. They hold the purse strings, and they hold them real tight. So I think we're able to be clear about the limitations that are there.
Okay.
It's our ability to convince them that we have a project to take forward. And we're not gonna stretch the facts here.
Because we can have, we can get to a point where you have an engineered plan and ready for bid, and if the voters choose not to fund it now just because of the economy, fine, but that same plan, the land's not going anywhere, and I would assume that the plan's not going anywhere either. I'm just saying, I just don't want this useless studies. MSBA is not the only funding source either. I know it sounds great at 65%, but you usually pay 75% more because of the funding source. It's a state agency. It's not the only place that has money.
How do you look at the voters and discuss with them the roughly 250 that's been expended up to this point that will have nothing to show for except land, which shouldn't have been part of the feasibility anyway?
Well, what I say to the voters, and I'll stare at the camera right now, is that the last committee is the one that spent the $200-something thousand.
Yeah.
This committee spent $22,000 and got the damn job done.
Right.
That's what I say to the voters right now,
And
I
I
hope
would
that's an
say the
answer.
same thing, but when you had these connections, when you were on the board before, why didn't you step up to the plate and help us then? When we were scrambling this entire town searching for land. Bob was here, Dennis, we were searching for land around this entire town. Endless hours, endless hours.
Right.
Wish you would have stepped in back then, 5 years ago, because
See-
you got it done, because you had the connections, Kirk. I
Right.
wish we would have had you back then, and you would have came in, and you would have helped us then. We would be 5 years removed in moving forward with this project.
I mean, I can't explain why I didn't jump in.
I
had a
know,
full
but you
committee,
keep
so on and so
blaming
forth.
our past committee
No, I'm
for
just,
the 10
I'm
years of
answering Bill's
service that we've
question
done.
as far as how do I explain to the voters about $200,000 was spent. I just said, I have no answer for that because I wasn't on that committee. So I'm just saying is that the town needs to throw their cards on the table with MSBA tomorrow and no pussyfooting around, say, this is where we're at, give us your best deadlines or whatever, work with us the best you can, and then we need to come back and say, can we actually meet these deadlines? And if we can, how are we gonna do it? That's really what I'm saying, you know what I mean?
Kirk, I
Don't
think that's gonna
pussyfoot
happen.
around at all with them. Say, put it on the table, because not knowing this week and just finding out next month isn't doing anybody any good.
Kirk, I think that's gonna happen. In fact, I know that's gonna happen. I know these people. I've sat in a room with them several times. They ask some really good questions,
Yeah.
and they know how to develop a project. It's in their interest because they're representing the Massachusetts purse strings. That's gonna happen automatically.
No, good. I just want to make sure, I mean, we've come this far, hopefully we're not going, I just don't want to spend money that we don't have to spend, because somebody says we have to spend it. That's all, if that makes any sense.
Good point, it does make sense.
But I think
Yeah, but
there's another side to this coin, and the other side is MSBA is going to be looking tomorrow to see if we really are committed in building a school. And really, we've got,
But
with all
that's
this, hold on,
Sorry.
just hear me out for a second.
Sorry.
We need to give them the information, but they also need to hear from us. And I don't, and I need to know if it's true or not, that we're really fully committed. If we could find a way to spend the 200,000 and get all the schematic designs and everything, you know, done, maybe through a model school, and meet the deadline of June 2014, is that really what you want to do? Because that, we have to be able to say, yes, we're committed. I know that Senator Brewer is, one of his office people are going to be in the meeting tomorrow, because he's really concerned about the project moving forward as well. I mean, he wants to support us and not have, he wants to make sure that we all know that he didn't like give us the land and wash his hands of it, that he really is very interested in seeing the project move forward. But they ask us.
Yeah, right, we wouldn't have had the land at all,
We
period.
wouldn't at
We
all,
know that.
and it's not just about the land for him, I think it's also about the school. But if we go in there and say, well, we're not gonna spend this unless we get this, they're gonna turn around and say, how committed are you to the school? They've already asked me on the phone before, you know, and I think you've seen it in Athol, when they said, if you can't support your operating budget, then why are you building, you know, how can you support a new school? I mean, so do we really want the school? I think that's a really important question. Obviously, the school folks here, it kills me every time the kids are in the building, you know, especially in the summer months. So I think we have to go as a united front. Are we really committed to building a school and trying to meet the June 14th, 2014 deadline?
Right.
I don't.
Yeah, I also think we need to be upfront with MSBA and the people at that meeting, because I don't know if 209,000 that we have left is going to get us there. I don't know that.
Right, but if it were, whether it will or won't, but let's say it was, if 204,000 will get us there, are we gonna go there? That's it, that's the
That's
answer.
the loaded question that, I mean, until I'm for doing it. I mean, I just take a year of my life off to do this, to say, oh, it is your land, we ain't gonna do a school anyways. Let's see if we can, but it's the voters gonna answer the question, so I guess the point I'm trying to make is that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people go to a meeting tomorrow. Of course we want to build a school, but it's the 1,500 people that go to the polls or whatever are the ones
I
that.
agree, right, we need to
So I
have a
mean,
plan put in
it's
front
hard
of
to
them.
say, yeah.
But are we committed to trying to get them a really quality plan that's affordable in front of the voters by June of 2014? I think.
Which I think is obtainable.
I do
If we
too.
go with if we stick with the,
Hi.
if we, I mean, it's actually, is it their call if
I
we
don't
stick
know,
to
when
that
I'm on
model?
that chair, I'll sit right next
it
to
their call?
Audrey.
It's
Well,
up in the air.
With some persuasion.
We've been planting seeds,
Right.
and that, if we can go in that direction,
Because that's a $300,000 savings right there. I mean,
Here's-
if you have to start from scratch.
There's a benefit with a model school. And let me explain what it is. The feasibility study, no architect, no OPM really makes any real marketable money out of that. As far as the rate goes, it's low. But with a model school, the architect has a project to develop now, and they'll take their percentage from that project. So the offer of future business is the feasibility study becomes a gateway motion for that. So we're favorable on that, and I really feel good about that 209,000 finishing it up. I don't have a lot of doubts about that, because it's about future investment in the project for the two entities.
I talked to Jonathan Whitaker last week sometime to tell him about this meeting, because as the OPM, he's asked to be informed. And I said, can we get there? Can we really get through schematic design, what they're asking us, on between $200,000 and $250,000? His answer was, what we should say, the MSBA, is that he would go out to bid for the architect. He has to look at what's spent and what, a lot of the work you've already done. You've gotten a lot of the things done that is required by DCAM.
Right.
Said what, and then there's he'd filter it out, and then he would go out to bid for architect services for X, whatever X is, whatever you have left, he will go out to bid for that amount. That's what he said. He said, I cannot.
Which would primarily be the building, really.
And it would be for, looking for model school or whatever. He said he cannot commit that somebody would bid for it. But he has done this numerous times, and every single time he's done it, someone has stepped up to bid, just for the reasons Bill just said. So, but it's probably gonna have to be a model school. So tomorrow, if everybody is on board for spending the money to get something by 2014, we're gonna have to be very convincing that this is the way we wanna go.
You're gonna need to sell the model school.
And that they'll let us go right to model school and forget everything else.
Because the nice part about doing a model school is an engineer designs it, and when it's the first one being built off that design, you have a boatload of change orders because they just never think of everything all the time. And so the best thing to do is, when you're doing a model school, it's not so much as the design plan as it is the as-built plan is what you want, because it means they already found all the mistakes they made on the design. And that's another big cost-saving measure, because every time an architect has to go back to the drawing board, even though it was his fault, they don't do it for free.
It's a 12-year-old design, and that's a great advantage to an older design, because anything that may go wrong,
Exactly.
it's ironed out. So the other models are not as old as that.
Okay.
So there's an
But in
advantage.
addition, we took their footprint.
Right.
So
And that's what's shown here, is
we
based
took
on
their
the footprint of that school.
And we backed our ed plan into it. So I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, but I do know, because I know what they're looking for from us, and they're looking for a commitment that this is something we really wanna do.
Well, now we can show them that it actually fits on the site, physically fits on the site. And there was one thing need to be changed in here. If you go in the bottom of the page, on a description, did they not say it was going to be a 3-story, not a 2-story in the meeting the other day? Or did he misspeak?
No, it was. They took the,
It was a 3-story.
they took the pre-primary wing, pre-kindergarten wing for the kindergarten.
Which would have been on conceptual 2?
And put it on, everything's, pretty much the academic services are all on one wing.
Okay. All right, Dennis, got a question?
Yeah, I'm a little insulted, Matt, Kurt, because we didn't have borough, we didn't have the free land, and like we spent a lot of, we looked at every piece of land, and I think that's kind of an insult to say what we did about what the money that we spent on trying to get a piece of land for the school, but on the last committee.
Well, sorry you feel that way, but I was just stating a fact.
Because we didn't
The
have the
last
option.
committee spent $200,000, it came to the selectmen's meeting, said we have to build a police station, knock down an elementary school, take this to Whalen's house, we have 90 days to do it. And it was the next morning, I picked up the phone and called the senator and said, we need help.
Yeah.
It's the first I've heard of
It was
it.
the genius that thought of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, that's the reason,
Yeah.
my answer, okay? And it was, the funny part about it is it was almost a year to the day that the governor signed it, so.
Yeah.
All right, we need to, they ain't all here for us, here for the selectmen's meeting. We don't draw that much of a crowd.
Kurt, just a
Bob,
quick question.
go ahead.
With that area that I didn't get to look at the photograph.
Yeah.
What's that area zoned?
It's RA2. It's RA2, yeah.
Is it water?
Building or school building.
Education is exempt from zoning law.
Oh, okay. And then how about, is the water and sewer down there?
Is town water close? It would be a septic. And they've already done we've already done perks out there. They were official perks, but technically unofficial perks, because the way the state law reads, if DCAM is doing a perk, it needs to be witnessed by one of their own in-house state certified soil analysis, which it was a technicality, but they did prove that it will perk, so.
Jerry, is there any estimate at all what it's gonna cost for a septic system here?
We just had rough numbers for total site development.
That site development, that include the septic system?
Yeah, that would be all
What
earth,
something is for the septic?
all earthwork. The two variables,
Oh, okay.
one was 3.6
Right,
million,
I remember, I seen those figures, yeah.
one was 2.4, the
Okay,
2.4 was
that's-
actually the more favorable design as well, so.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Julie has a motion to adjourn on the floor.
Second.
Okay, discussion is gonna say, nothing like a good open dialogue, people. I think we're all on the same team, but you know, you gotta spill it. So you guys really need to sell it tomorrow and come back with some direction from MSBA, you know?
Go to
And,
next meeting.
and we should schedule a next meeting, correct?
What's 2 weeks from now?
2 weeks.
29.
Is that, when's the town meeting?
26.
26, yeah.
Is there a selectmen's meeting on the 29th though?
Yes, there
Can we
is.
look at August?
Yeah, one is,
Do we need to meet before town meeting?
Oh, well, is it the 30th on a Tuesday? Why don't we do the 30th?
yeah, 30th works for me, actually, Tuesday.
Thursday?
Tuesday,
We don't need to meet before town meeting?
no, there's nothing, there's only one issue on and.
Okay, we're not doing anything on town meeting.
It's not-
It says, invitation to town meetings.
I'm sorry, what, Chris?
It
That's
says right
right.
on the top, information for town
They said
meetings.
they'd go with us.
I think he meant this meeting.
Yeah, for this meeting.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. No, because they knew we were trying to meet the deadline for the,
Okay.
July 30th at what time?
we'll just do 5:30 again, does that work for everybody?
Yep. And can we make sure that it gets taped again?
We'll have to ask the guy behind the wall over there.
Okay, I think I just did.
Okay, with that being said, motion to adjourn is on the table and seconded, all in favor?
Bye.
Aye. Okay, motion's,
Chairs and yours.
we're done. That's changing of the guard.
Thanks.